Hear the stories of men and women switching hustles and escaping the odds through entrepreneurship after prison. Not only will these stories inspire you, but also unlock business tips for financial freedom. What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, for a minute, I thought we had some technical difficulties, man.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm an old man. It takes me a while to get in on the new technology.
You and I both, man. I'm sitting up here like, man. Every time I try to do one of these lives, it's always some kind of technical glitch. So definitely, man. Glad you're coming on, bro. You got an extraordinary story, man. Introduce my guest is Ed Hennings, man. The man brother did a little bit over 20 years incarcerated as a youth, man. 24 years old, came out 44, hit the ground running. He does a lot of different things, and I'm gonna let him kind of get into a lot of stuff that he's doing. But thank you all for tuning in to Escaping the Odds podcast. And what we do here is interview or have discussions with the formerly incarcerated who are now successful entrepreneurs. Just change the narrative of what people think of someone who's been incarcerated, and just get the stories out there, and also drop a whole lot of business tips and the whole nine. So we're gonna get into all that. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm okay, man. Just getting in off the grind, man. I had to make it in time to join you, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt, definitely, man. And so let's get into a little bit what you got going on right now, but then we'll get into your backstory as well to kind of take the people back 20 plus years.
Okay, what I got going on now, man, I just got in out the barbershop. I own a barbershop and a beauty salon. I have a trucking business as well, so I had to take care of some things with the trucks.
Okay.
And I had to come on in after that, man. It took a lot out of me today.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And so going back a little bit in time, man, can we talk about that whole experience? You did a little bit over 20 years incarcerated as a young man, and to come home and do the things you're doing right now is extraordinary. You and I both know a lot of times it's kind of hard for people to get on their feet once they come home, especially when they spent an extended amount of time, such as you and I. And so let's get into that, man. What got you into the criminal justice system and just kind of breaking down the story of what happened.
Okay, me growing up in the urban community, as we spoke about many other times, it's just about the options that's available to you. You can be a good student and you can have, the grades, but also along with the academics, you have the options of other things. And in my case, I had an option to take the streets. I had an option to make some fast money. So me being a good student lasted only for so long. And once I turned 18, that option of the streets became more of an option for me because the academics was a long-term goal. The streets gave me instant gratification.
Exactly. And a lot of times most of the time, that's what we're looking for, man. So it's easy to gravitate towards that. And like we talked about before, our stories are kind of like similar to the same, pretty much kind of what you feed the most is what's going to grow. And it sounds like you and I both, we fed the street side of things when we could have been doing some other stuff, more productive. But nevertheless, we learned from everything, and we wouldn't be where we are right now if we didn't have those experiences that we went through. So where you actually from?
I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, man. I'm about 90 miles up the road from you.
Yeah, no, definitely. A hop, skip, and a jump, man. Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Hey, so when you got incarcerated, you was 24 years old. You went in for a homicide, and that was your first offense. So to get locked up for something like that, in your mind, when you never been locked up before, 2 years is a long time, right?
No doubt.
And
2 days.
2 days. 2 days. Exactly. 2 days is too long, right? And so to kind of take us back through that whole experience, man, just kind of knowing that you was facing a potential life sentence, or at least a lifetime, because 20 years that's a lifetime, And so let's kind of go through that night, man. Like what happened in that situation, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's get into that. I was home, man. I had just came in, had made some plans to hang out with a friend or two of mine, man, later on that night. And my uncle showed up at my grandma's house. And you know how we do in the neighborhood. I done gave my little cousin $20, told her to iron my pants, my shirt. I'm going to go in here and take a bath and get ready to hang out, man.
And of course.
He was in there ironing my clothes, man, and my uncle pop up before I can get in the tub. It was like, man, it just jumped me, man. Let's go out here and see what's going on. So me, I'm always, the go-to guy in these situations, the aid
Right.
and assistance.
Yeah.
So, this was routine behavior, in my community and with me in my life.
So no
I
second
went-
guessing on it.
No, it wasn't even a second thought. Like, hey, it's not gonna get crazy, but
Right.
I'm gonna squash these type of petty beefs all the time.
Yeah.
So this particular one, I walked around the corner, me and my uncle, and I asked the young guys that was out there, what was the problem? What was going on? My uncle got kind of hostile, and the guys out there started to get kind of riled up. The rah-rah and the emotions started to kick in.
Right.
So I tried to defuse the whole incident, and one of the guys went after my uncle. And at that moment, my instincts kicked in, and I pushed my uncle out the way. I pulled out a gun I was carrying, and I started shooting.
Right.
I shot twice.
Okay.
He got hit twice. Although I didn't know he was hit twice, everybody took off running.
Yeah.
So in my mind, nobody got hit. So later on that night, the police showed up to pick me up and said that, he had, well, they didn't tell me right away that he had passed. They just kept asking me, why did I do it? Why did I do it?
Right.
And when I got to the county jail that night, they interrogated me and asked me what happened. I said the man went after my uncle. And, I thought he was a threat to my uncle's livelihood. And I had to do what I felt at that time, what I
Right.
needed to do. And next thing you know, they slid a paper under my cell door, and it said first-degree intentional homicide, mandatory life sentence.
Wow. All right, stop right there, man. You get a paper up on the, they ain't even got the decency to tell you what's going on. They give you a sheet of paper. You gotta, and you never been in the system before, so to see something like that, man, what was those emotions like? To see, like, I know your stomach dropped. You probably, man, I can only imagine, right? A mandatory life sentence, that means you never coming home. So,
Right.
And at 24 years old, first time ever being incarcerated, like, what was that psyche like?
Man, I was already feeling so bad just knowing now I'm going downtown. I'm going to this jail. Somebody got shot. I'm putting two and two together. Yeah, he got hit. Somebody got shot. But the last thing on my mind was death.
Yeah.
I had seen the police lights and all of that stuff outside and all of those things, but never did I think of death.
Right.
And then when they slid that paper under my door, I don't know if anybody can relate to a paralysis or anything, but everything was just froze.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It was froze. It was, I threw in the towel.
Yeah.
I threw in the towel. It was over for me. I was never coming home again. All the life in me was gone. I didn't know I didn't know how to respond to that.
So how did you bounce back from that feeling of defeat, hopelessness? And this your first day of the rest of your life potentially, right? Like, so what kind of got you back on track? Like, man, you know what? I gotta fight this body. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to kill a man. I'm trying to get some kind of life back. So what happened with that?
So the next day, my mom came and seen me and asked me what happened. She's like, what happened? So mind you, previously she already had been to the scene and asking the guys out there what happened.
Yeah.
So this is my mom. So my mom, she shows up and she asking me what happened.
Yeah.
So I'm telling her, what happened from my viewpoint. The guy went after my uncle, which was her baby brother, and
right.
I had to do what I felt what I needed to do was defend him.
Yeah.
But I said, but Ma, at that time I didn't want to explain it to her. I was just like, Ma, there's no need to talk about it. It's over for me. It's over for me.
Yeah.
She mom, so she said, boy, tell me what happened.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I told her what happened, and she said, we're going to fight. We're going to fight this. It's not over for you. We're going to fight. And I never been to prison. I never been in that situation. So I didn't know how we was going to fight, what I was fighting. But mama said we going to fight.
Right. So mama said we definitely, we got to fight. We got to throw the gloves on.
No doubt. When mama said we going to fight, I began to start trying to find ways, ways to fight this thing. I didn't know what I was doing, but I went to asking questions.
Exactly. And so what were some of those questions you asked? Like, how did you maneuver your way through this murder situation?
I'm sitting in the jail, and they have a limited selection of law books.
Of course.
So I started looking up the crime that I was charged with. I started to look at, lesser included offenses that I could have been or should have been charged with.
Now what is that? I understand what that is, but the audience may not be familiar with that term, lesser included offense. So what is that?
Okay, a lesser included offense is an offense, say if you charged with armed robbery or homicide, there's offenses that you could be charged with. Say if you charged with what I was charged with, first degree intentional homicide.
Right.
There's lesser offenses of second degree intentional, there's
Okay.
manslaughter, and there's self-defense laws.
Okay.
So I began to look at those, and I began to take my crime, and I began to try to fit it into what lesser offense or what crime that I thought fit best.
Right. Okay. And so far as with the state's attorney, were they trying to come with any kind of deals? You cop out, do 20, do 10 off of that. Was there anything like that coming at you?
Hey, that's the funny thing about it, man. With me being a first-time offender, they didn't offer me a plea. They didn't offer me anything. They was coming for a life sentence.
Right. And so what ultimately happened, man, in the case? Like, how much time did you end up getting?
Yeah, I went to trial, man. I had 12 jurors, man, and they found me guilty of a lesser offense, a reckless homicide.
Okay.
They said I had a right to defend my uncle, but I kind of overdid it.
Okay. But that was a blessing though, right? Because you sitting in trial and you knowing if you blow trial, it's a life sentence.
It's a life sentence.
Or did you know that the jury can potentially find you guilty of a lesser charge? Were you aware of that?
I didn't know this until giving out jury instructions.
Okay.
At the end of my trial, they gave the instructions to the jury to deliberate and come back with whatever charge they wanted, from first degree intentional homicide all the way down to first degree reckless.
Okay.
So with that being said, my eyes popped open and I said, wow, man, anything less than a life sentence, I'm gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
I paced in that waiting room for a couple hours, maybe not. It felt like a couple hours or a couple days.
Right. Yeah.
It was about 45 minutes, man.
Right. Yeah. No, definitely. So,
Yeah.
so how much time they end up hitting you with?
I got found guilty of first degree reckless homicide, and I got sentenced to a maximum sentence of 40 years.
Okay. And 40 years, how much do they want you to do off of that?
Well, right now they have truth in sentencing, but fortunately, when I got sentenced, they had parole in a quarter of your time, which was 10 years.
Okay.
So I seen parole for the first time in 10 years.
Okay. And this was the state of Wisconsin, right?
This in the state of Wisconsin. Yes, sir.
Okay. And so what you end up doing 20. So I guess every time you went to the board, they kind of just told you to come back in 2 years and kind of kept flopping you in a sense. Okay.
Exactly. They kept telling me I didn't serve enough time. I was a model inmate in there, man. I didn't get in a lot of trouble. I took classes and programs, and when it was time for me to see the board, I kind of presented the best resume that I could. No,
definitely, man. And I already know we kind of talked about that whole experience being incarcerated, some of the classes and program that you were taking. So that pretty much prepared you to come on the outside, because I know you took like a cosmetology programming. What were some of the other things you took that kind of really helped you change your mindset, so when you knew when you was coming home, I'm gonna have to switch hustles and do something else?
Some of the most important things was, getting some skills.
Right.
I got my barber cosmetology license. I took auto detailing. I took culinary class. But more importantly, man, I just had a mindset shift.
Yeah, no doubt.
That was the biggest and most important thing that I did, and anybody can do, is have a mindset shift, man. It was things that my granddad tried to teach me growing up, and I knew it was law.
Yeah.
I knew these things were tried and true. But, man, hey, that's old school. That's not going to work in this day and time. You got to get with the times. And, I'm thinking what my granddad is telling me is, outdated.
Right.
But when I got to prison, man, I started to replay a lot of these things that he tried to teach me growing up.
Yeah.
I replayed them in my mind.
Right.
And I said, man, Pops always told me this. He always told me this type of thing was going to happen, man, if I didn't listen. So when I start to replay those things, I said, I'm going to start using these things.
Right.
And I started using those principles, those values, and that knowledge that he was giving me. And I seen success right in prison. Okay.
And so what did that success look like while you were in prison? Because most people probably can't find, you say success in prison, those two words don't go together. You know what I'm saying? So what did that look like in there for you?
Okay. When I actually, like I said, when I took the cosmetology program, and I went in there, I had the mindset that my granddad tried to instill in me, and
Right.
I walked them years down through that program and knocked it out. Right after that was over with, I started the culinary, knocked it out. Right after that, I started auto detailing. So my successes were mounting up.
Yeah.
You know, and then I would play basketball in the gym. And it wasn't just totally about sports. It was about the mindset shift that I had that allowed me to even excel in a gym.
Okay, got you. So for you, the bigger picture, it was always about the bigger picture of things.
No doubt. No
Okay.
doubt. Yeah, that the mindset is everything, man. You know, I don't think Michael Jordan would have been as great as he was without that warrior mindset that he had.
Right. No, definitely, man. I say the same thing with Kobe Bryant too.
Yes, sir.
Getting sentenced to a lot of that time like that. Most people, I won't say most people, some people, they just won't be able to handle it, right? Even though they're giving you 40 years, knowing that you could potentially come home in 10 years, I've seen people, they really don't do anything in the beginning of their bit. Then at the end, they want to kind of start to try to do things to kind of better themselves, right? But we know, I mean, of course, you can make a change at the end, right? Better late than never, right? However, though, it's always good. Like for me, I know when I first went to the joint, I knew what I wanted to do when I was gonna leave, right? I knew I had to change like how you talking about your mental, physically, emotionally, even socially, man. I was in federal prison, so I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to men from all over the country, all walks of life, rich, poor, whatever, right? It was every class in there, so it allowed for me to kind of build up my social capital too. So with you, did you find that the same kind of things like in a state prison where you were able to find like-minded men that were on the same page as you during that situation?
I think the ratio is about equal to it is in the free world.
Okay.
There's not many people out here that's, you know, trying to have that mental, like you just stated. So it's even less in there. So it's a couple guys you're gonna meet, and they're gonna even, you know, do it for a week or two, or maybe a month or a year or two. But when you're talking about 20 years, man. All it takes is one thing to trigger.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what I did was my mindset shift was not predicated upon how much time I had, when I was going home, and all of those things. I did all of this because this is the person that I wanted to become, no matter where I was at.
Right.
Even if I wasn't ever coming home, this is the person I wanted to be.
Exactly. So it was a whole.
That's what it has to be about. It can't be just to get out.
Right. Because at the end of the day, we know that's just an incentive, and then you can go back to the same kind of lifestyle you had before. So it was a lifestyle shift for you. Everything changed about your whole being, physically, mentally, spiritually, everything. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you carried yourself was different. And I'm sure that a lot of people,
I just didn't want to be that person no more.
Exactly. So I'm assuming that a lot of people, they carried you a certain kind of way. You know what I mean? Because you was probably an anomaly in there. Because as you just stated, there's not a lot of people that's moving like that behind those walls, right? I think more so than what people on the outside think, but it could be more. And so I know it was a respect level that they gave you too, because they seen how you're moving. Young dude, got a boatload of time. You could be doing all kind of other stuff, but instead you focusing on your out date in a sense of what you're gonna do when you leave. So definitely, that's what's up, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
that's
sir.
What's up.
Exactly.
And so when you came home, matter of fact, before you came home, did you knew that you was gonna get into all the businesses that you wanted to get into? Because as we both know, when you inside, you make a whole lot of business plans. I know I had a million of them. You know what I'm saying? I had a million of them, man. You know, and so you just kind of really just training your brain, just thinking outside the box. And for me, I got back to the essence of myself while I was in prison. Like we talked about before, like I started to dream again when I was locked up. You know what I mean? Because on the outside, you so distracted. We fed more to BS than we did to positivity. And so we already good dudes, you know what I mean? So we just got in a situation. And once we got in that situation, we were like, okay, the light bulb started coming on. And you began to kind of like start wishing and dreaming again. And that creative juices just got to flowing. And so the barbershop, you got the salon going right now. You're an author, you're a motivational speaker, man. You man, what else? You got the truck, you got the beer, organic beer oil. Did you see any of this? I mean, I know you wanted to be successful, right? You had that in mind already, right? But did you already know that, okay, I'm gonna open up me a salon because you took the cosmetology.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna open me up a salon. I'm gonna create this beard oil. Like, did you have any of that kind of stuff in mind?
Absolutely not, man. You know, with being in prison, you know, you got to be realistic, man. You got to
Yeah.
say, all right, I want to open up this barbershop and beauty salon. So being realistic, I said, you know, I'm gonna give myself 5 years after I'm released to open up my first business.
Okay.
5 years. Hopefully by 10, I'll be ready to buy me a home and
Right.
all those type of things,
Yeah.
man.
You took the long route, huh?
That's right. That's
Right.
right. So I'm coming into it playing the long game. I'm being
Yeah.
realistic. Like,
Okay.
I'm not gonna come home after doing those 20 years. It's gonna take me about 5 years to get my first business. So I'm prepared for that.
Right.
And man, you know, I just came home and I just with my 5-year plan and I'm working it. But you know, the blessings start coming. You start working hard, and before you know it, you look up and you say, "Man, you know what? I can do this a lot quicker than I thought I could."
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, as you start grinding and you putting in work every day and you stacking it, now you like, hey, I can do this a lot quicker. I thought it was gonna take me 5.
Yeah.
But I'm in position now to make a move, you know, but it didn't start out like that though. It was just materializing as I kept going. And it materialized a lot quicker than I thought.
I tell people all the time, man, I had to learn this myself though. Like once you get started and that momentum start kicking in, like doors will just start opening up. People start checking you out, you know what I mean? And so and coming to you with different opportunities, situations. It's like a compounding effect, man. Like one thing leads to the next and to the next and to the next. Then before you know it, you doing things that you really ain't even playing for. You know what I'm saying? Because it's never going to happen like how you exactly plan. I mean, that could be for good and for bad, right? You can blow extraordinary and just take off, and you like, man, I didn't even see this coming like that, right? For me, like I thought of this podcast back in 2015. I came home in like beginning of 2019, and so I'm like, man, okay, I'm gonna do a podcast, but that wasn't the first thing on my list. As I stated, man, I had a million business plans. You know what I'm saying? But I knew I was coming home. I said, okay, I'm gonna develop something else. So I tried developing a company or whatever. It didn't work or whatever, right? I almost got discouraged. I'm gonna keep it one. I almost got discouraged, but I had a mentor that kind of gave me some words, and you know, he made me kind of shape up. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do this podcast. But I kept procrastinating. So for everybody that's listening and watching, y'all got these ideas, you know what I mean? You like, and a lot of times we try to talk ourselves out the situation. Like, well, okay, well, I ain't got this. For me, I was like, man, you know, I don't know nothing about no technology podcast, but I read about them and I know I wanted to do it. And so I kept coming up with all these excuses, man. And me being a man of faith, like a place where I was going to, kind of like a not work release center, almost like a shared office space. The guy, the owner came to me like, man, you know, I'm about to start a podcast studio. I'm like, oh, wow. It wasn't no more excuses for me. You know what I mean? Because that was one of my excuses. But I share that story just to kind of illustrate how, like, once you get started, the doors go just start opening up for you. And then before you know it, one thing led to another. And then here I am, you know what I'm saying? And for me, the podcast is just like it's a low-hanging fruit to do other things in the media world. You know what I'm saying? But, okay, so the salon, you started the salon, and also what really interests me though, bro, is the beard oil, man.
Okay, yes.
The organic beard oil, man. Like you had an interesting take on that, right? Because a lot of times, you know, we kind of come up with concoctions in the kitchen, right? And create whatever we doing, whether it's a special recipe for a cake and all that kind of stuff. And we think we chemists, you know what I'm saying? We want to hide the secret sauce, you know what I'm saying, the whole nine, and you know what I'm saying, we want to go get a pat, we want to do all this, right? But you took a different route as it relates to white labeling. And so I want you to kind of break that down on how you actually did it with the beard oil. So for somebody that's listening, they got an idea. They don't need to try to be a chemist. You know what I'm saying? They got companies out there that kind of create the situation for you and package it up. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. Just from first of all, sitting in the prison cell, man, we watch TV, and I watch a lot of Shark Tank when I was in there.
Oh man, you and I both.
So those sharks on Shark Tank talk a lot of business, and a lot of guys come on there and they have a plan for their business and they have a great product. But a lot of the sharks say, I'll buy in, but only if you outsource some of your manufacturing. Only if you
Right.
bring in another person to handle this or handle that portion, because it's going to save you time and it's going to save you money by delegating some of these responsibilities and some of these other things to other people. Because if you try to do it all yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure. So when I came home, I took a couple business classes as well, seminars and conferences around America, in Miami and Chicago and in Michigan. And some of the same things were being mentioned at these business conferences. Like, you got to learn to delegate.
Yeah.
You got to learn to free up your time. You got to go from a worker to an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And from an entrepreneur to a CEO.
Yeah.
Because essentially what a business owner and a small business owner and what an entrepreneur is somebody that's still working.
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
that's still showing up every day
Exactly.
at their job. But a CEO has
Right.
freed
Self-employed.
himself up. You know, he ain't
There you
trading
go.
time for money.
There you go.
I knew going into business after I learned these things going forward, I said, you know what? I'm trying to drive a truck. I'm trying to cut hair. I'm trying to do all of these things, but I'm only one person. So now I have to start learning how to delegate. So when I came to the beard oil and it was time for me to dive into this industry of male grooming products, which is a fast growing industry right now, I said, you know what? I can't mix the oils. I can't market the oils. I can't CEO the oils. I can't be the accountant in the oils.
Right.
What I have to do is find me a manufacturer that can put these oils together like I want them. And that'll free me up from having to try to be a chemist, because my cosmetology background has already gave me the knowledge of what's good for your skin and for your hair.
Okay.
So when I look for a manufacturer, I look for somebody that was going to give me the oil with the oils that I knew that was going to be good for us.
Okay. So now that they do the packaging for you too, or you had to find someone else to do that?
No, I was lucky enough to find somebody that had the whole package and said, how do you want your packaging as well? And I was like, oh, you do that too. And from there, you know, it was a match made in heaven, man. We've been rocking ever since.
Yeah. So how much time you think you would have saved doing, and money doing that? Would you think it would have been cheaper to kind of go the other route, kind of mix it up in your kitchen, or find the chemist yourself?
I'm gonna tell you like this. I got firsthand knowledge. I got a young lady that works in the shop with me.
Okay.
And, me and her, we've been rocking for a long time, man. Just on the strength of selling hair, doing things inside of the shop with her oils. She started the oils with her own oils for the women and their edges.
Okay.
So that was her thing, but she was mixing it up herself, ordering packaging and all of that. So I seen how much work and how much time she had to put in just to get her oils off the ground.
Right.
So once I started to do beard oil, I knew running the trucking business, running the barbershop, selling my book, speaking, I'm not going to have time to do all that what you're doing. So I knew already, hey, let's find. And she even suggested, you need to find you a manufacturer because you ain't going to have time and energy to do all of this. And there you go.
Okay.
We found one like in 2 days and it was on.
Wow. So what did you do? Go on a site like Alibaba or Fiverr, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's so many of them, man. You can go on Alibaba, Fiverr. You could just Google it and all of these manufacturers will come up. But you have to know what you're looking for because you can get sold anything from anybody. But you got to know what you look. You got to have some knowledge of what you're getting.
Hey, you said something about the difference between like a small business owner and an entrepreneur and a CEO. Yeah. I read a book, and I suggest this book to anybody who's listening and watching. It's called The Cash Flow Quadrant. You remember reading that book?
No doubt, no doubt. I definitely know Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like this dude has amazing books, and the whole premise of the book was there's like 4 quadrants, right? You got the employee, you got the self-employed, you got the business owner, you got the investor, right? As you stated earlier, the self-employed, a lot of times we have our own business, like the mom and pop businesses and stuff like that. Right. The way he put it is like you're a glorified worker, right?
That's
because
exactly
you still got to put in all these hours, right? Like the business doesn't move if you're not in there, right? You know what I mean? So in the book he talks about like creating systems where you can be a business owner and delegating, as we talked about. But I think one of the things that entrepreneurs that start off, we kind of want to do everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we got this trust factor. It's our baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want nobody else to babysit our child. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that baby is our business. You know what I mean? But that's one thing I've learned as well, man, just to be able to delegate and to trust other people's expertise. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're good at that, I'm gonna let you go ahead and do that until you show me otherwise. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that saves us time, energy, resources, the whole nine, to kind of to do what we're most effective at, and we could be more efficient. You know what I'm saying? And so I highly suggest, man, anybody who's watching, man, to read that book, and a lot of his books too, on top of that. And so you also got the trucking business too, though, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, how did you stumble across that? Because that's one industry. I work in that industry full time. You know what I mean? And as far as being a broker, freight broker, and one thing I know about it, that freight is always moving. It may slow down a little bit, but for the most part, things are always being shipped. And so was that one of the things that enticed you to get into this industry?
Most definitely. The thing about it was the barbershop and the beauty salon is the mecca in the urban community, man. The barbershop is where a lot of conversations are had, and you can learn a lot inside of a beauty salon or a barbershop. Even if it ain't nothing but gossip, you're gonna learn something. Right. So one of the guys, one of my clients, man, he came in to get a cut, and he was telling me about a truck he had bought. And I was like, man, what kind of work you do? He's like, man, I drive my truck at night, man. I pick up for Amazon and I drop off. I said, how much money you make? He started telling me the numbers he was making. And I said, oh, man, you think I can get into that?
What was those numbers?
Man, it ain't nothing to it. So, man, by the time he came back for his next haircut, man, I had bought my truck and had it sitting out in front of the barbershop waiting on him. Like, hey, man, you see that truck out there? That's mine, man. Tell me a little bit more about this game.
Right. Right. So you bought you bought the truck without knowing nothing about the game, but you knew that it was going to be lucrative, or it was going to be worth buying and putting this investment in.
Hey, listen, I had never drove a truck that big a day in my life, man.
Right.
When I went and picked that truck up, and the man said, you want me to drive it back? I said, no, I'm going to drive it back, man. And I drove that mug all the way home, man. And that was my first time ever, man. So I just was all in, man. That's the way I go about business, man. I go with no fear.
Hey, so what was those numbers looking like, man? That really enticed you to kind of jump down in it.
Man, I know what type of money I was making cutting hair, man. And I was cutting hair all day long. So when I was able to say, you know what, man, I can get one truck and double that. So I started hearing the numbers, and I was like, man, you know what, man? I'm making about a couple $100 a day cutting hair. Right. I can make $500 in this truck.
That's just one truck, though.
Yeah, that's just one truck. Okay. So, if I can make $500 with one truck, and man, I started driving it, and it was even better than that, man. And then
and that was a day, right? You saying on a day rate?
Yeah, that was in a day. Yeah, that was in a day.
Hey, them numbers started looking real good when you get to putting the multiples on them. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Multiplying by 20 and 30. It started looking real nice.
Right. So now I got 5 trucks, man. And I'm like, man, okay, now you gotta find manpower. So, it's always an issue when it comes to business. You just gotta, keep your boots laced up tight, man, and keep grinding. Yeah.
Hey, one thing that I didn't know about as I looked at the because I work in the trucking industry, but I deal with like 53 footers, right? But what I didn't know about the 26 footer, that's those big box trucks, the ones that you have, right? That you don't need a driver's, you don't need a CDL for that or a class. You can just have a regular driver's license. So that kind of opens up your pool of talent to hire. Like even if you don't have your own CDL, you can hop in your truck. If your driver ain't acting right, you don't feel like driving, whatever situation may be, there's an opportunity for you to get in there and still keep your truck making money.
Without a doubt, man. That was the main thing. I got into trucking, trying to do what my client was telling me he was doing, and I ended up going a whole nother route. I got in, the furniture deliveries came where it's 2 guys to a truck. And
Okay.
delivering the furniture for each company. And I didn't even think about that till I looked on the site and seen those were available. And I got a felony on my record. So it wasn't easy for me to even get a contract because of the F on my report card.
Okay.
So with that being said, you know, I had to go the route that that a lot of people don't want to go, and that's persistence.
Yeah.
You know, I got told no a lot. I just didn't accept it.
So how did you find those contracts with like whether it's the moving company or using it as a moving truck or as actually hauling freight from state to state? Like how did you find those loads?
Okay, I went on a site called Indeed. Indeed is a site, and I put in independent contractor. And once I put that in, I seen all of these companies that were looking for people that own their own truck, had their own DOT and MC number, and their insurance. So once I had all of that taken care of, I started to send out my resume to these companies. And a couple called me and said, come in, and we got to run this and run that. And one gave me a shot.
Okay.
One company gave me a shot, but I'm still, you know, working with that company as well as others. But that company right there, we have been rocking for the last 2.5 years in this business. And man, it's like I said, some companies, as my trucking fleet continues to grow, I try to get in with them, and they say, no, you got a felony. Then I call them back a week later and say, hey, I still would like to work with you. They say, no, you got a felony. I call them back another week later. Hey, I still would like to work for you. They say, no. Then I call them back another week later. And they say, okay, we're going to give you a shot.
Okay. Yeah, persistence, right? As you talked about.
I just don't take no that easy.
Yeah, no, definitely. Wow, bro, man, you definitely got a whole lot going on. There's one thing you mentioned in there that I wanted you to touch on is the DOT and the MC number. That's really important for the listeners to understand that, and it's basically your own authority. But I'm gonna let you get into that and kind of talk about like what was that process like and the cost behind it.
Okay, so the thing about a truck is a lot of people, even myself, I thought that I could just buy a truck and take off. But no, you have to have a Department of Transportation number, and the MC number is your motor carrier number. These numbers is how you identify your fleet, your company. Your company, if you get pulled over by a state trooper, they identify your company by these 2 numbers. So if you're in state and you're not going out of state, you could just use the DOT. But if you're going outside of the state that you're in, then you have to have the DOT and the MC number, which allows you to carry freight over state lines or even in your state. Intrastate is what they call it.
Okay.
So you have to pay the money to get that, which is not a lot of money, but there's some companies that'll do the work for you, and it'll cost you a little more. Where your main expense comes into play is your insurance. Commercial truck insurance is a little expensive. So it might cost you anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a month for your insurance. And that's just for one truck, depending on your driving record and depending on who you're going to have driving down. So if your driver has a lot of infractions, then your insurance is going to go up. It's just natural for that to happen. Yeah. But it's a lot of things that factor into your insurance. So a lot of guys get everything taken care of. Then they get to the insurance piece, which is the last and final piece and largest piece of the puzzle. And then they get stalled right there because they don't have the capital saved up to pay the insurance premium.
Okay. Now, how much does a truck cost? Well, I know you can get one used, but like what am I looking for to make sure that I get the right equipment to do what I need to do? Because I know that some box trucks, you got the lift gate, you can have it with or without it, you can have a reefer or a drop van. So what have you seen is the best kind of equipment to get?
Okay, if you want to stay within the guidelines of just having driver's license, you got to stay under 26,000 pounds.
Okay.
So a 26-foot straight truck is less than 26,000 pounds.
Okay.
But if you add a reefer, now you got to have CDLs. If you add a sleeper on it, then now you venturing off into a larger weight of truck. Okay. And that weight of truck will take you over to 26,000 and take you into CDLs. So I try to stay below that. So the great thing about it is you only need driver's license, you and your drivers, and you can use a lift gate. The first truck I ever bought didn't have a lift gate. So when I was delivering,
that was rough, wasn't it?
Yes. You know, you get used to it after a while. Yes, the first couple of weeks, you know, it's a new ball game. You're shocking different muscles in your body that you ain't used in a while. So
Yeah.
you get used to it though, man, and you become a beast on that truck if you just stick with it, man. I started some guys on the truck that couldn't lift a lamp. And now they picking up the whole couch.
Right. that's what's up, man. Hey, so going into one of your last ventures, man, the actual book that you wrote, the ebook, and I know you're a motivational speaker as well. So how did that come about, man? I know it's called The Answer, correct?
Yes,
The
right.
Answers. Okay. So what made you come up with that?
Okay. People always ask me about writing a book, but you know, I'm not an author. I'm more of a speaker. You know, I can get up and you know, talk in front of a crowd of people, but putting it on paper, that's not really my forte.
Right.
So the thing that happened after I was home for a couple years, and people were asking me questions like, how did you start these businesses so fast? And you only been home 2 years. You got 2 businesses going, and you only been home 2 years. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put it in a book, and I'm going to call it The Answers. The answers to those questions that were being asked of me. So I got referred to a publisher, and she was already in the book business. And she heard my story, and she heard me speak, and she was like, hey, let's sit down and talk and come up with something. So I sat down with her, man, and like I said, I was very reluctant because I'm not an author like that.
Yeah.
But after our first session and we sat down, man, I knew something special can come out of this because she was very, very, very sharp. And she was phenomenal at what she do. And
she pulled, and she was able to pull the stuff out of you that a lot of times we don't realize that we have in us. Like far as like the memories and stuff. Yeah, man, I can imagine. So what were some of those answers, man, that you provided the reader?
Like you spoke on earlier, one of my core principles of when I speak to a class, when I speak to college students, when I speak to somebody that's going through adversity and hardship or coming out of prison, one of the main things I talk about is dreaming. I think that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid have big dreams. We can do anything. We can be Superman. We can be Michael Jordan. We can be the greatest at whatever we want to do. We can jump over buildings in a single bound at that age.
Right.
But by the time we get to junior high school, okay, man, I'm just gonna be a doctor, or I'm gonna be a lawyer, or I'm gonna be something else. Then by the time we're in high school, oh man, I'm just gonna be a carpenter, or I'm gonna be an electrician, or I'm gonna do landscaping. And then you become a young adult, 18, 19 years old, and you just want a job at Walmart. You want a job at the grocery store. So what has happened through society, through family, through your environment, your dreams have been chipped away at. Little by little, what unconsciously, your dreams have been beat down. They have been stripped from you. So the same dreams that you had at 7 and 8, you don't have them anymore.
Right.
So one major thing that you have to do, you must get back to dreaming. I think once your dreams are taken, you're not even living anymore. You just existing.
I totally agree, man. Totally agree on that.
You have nothing left. You just trying to make it from day to day. And once you get your dreams back and you commit yourself to those dreams, your whole life, the whole world opens up for you once again. And if you don't ever get your dreams back, man, we got work to do.
Yeah, no doubt. So outside of your book, The Answers, what books did you read while you were incarcerated to kind of help you change your mindset and just allow for you to kind of see things differently? Give me one or two of them.
Although it was books, it was other things as well. But I'm gonna start out with the books, and I'll get into that. One of the books that I still read to this day and refer to is Think and Grow Rich and Black Choice, Napoleon Hill.
That's a good one.
A second one is 48 Laws of Power. Jeff Green, Robert Greene, I mean. And I read T.D. Jakes, Maximize the Moment. But some very important things in literature that I always held dear to my heart while I was in there was the stories of overcoming the odds. Whether it was in an Ebony magazine, a Jet magazine, on TV, on the radio, I always held those stories dear to me because I would hear about a story about a person that it was just over.
Yeah.
And they rose above all of those odds. They escaped the odds.
No doubt.
And they achieved greatness. And I knew right then, I said, I want my story to be like that. I want to be in that category. I want to be spoken in the same sentence as those people. Yeah,
no doubt. I read a lot of books, but I read a lot of magazines, man. And some of those same magazines you were talking about, but Entrepreneur, Inc. magazine,
no doubt.
And same as with you, like those stories always resonated with me because when you locked up, you trying to find some kind of glimmer of hope. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you looking for, you comparing yourself with other people. Like when you read these stories, you like, man, I know if they can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? So you want to have something to hold on to. But most of all, man, for me, like the characters in the Bible, like really work for me. You know what I mean? Like the Joseph, the Paul, and stuff like that. Those people that kind of really went through some things, I seen myself in those men and women. You know what I'm saying? So definitely escaping the odds and just like persevering, man. And so I always ask my the people that I bring onto the show, like what are some of those books? Because a lot of people may think that a person that's incarcerated, they may not be well read. But that's totally not true, man. I definitely read a lot of books, man. So many books, man. I can't even remember all of them, right? But definitely a whole lot of magazines though too, though. So definitely. So what's next for you, bro?
Man, right now I was just informed by a business coach of mine. He said no more businesses within the next 30 days. So
okay.
So man, what I got going on now, man, I just want to keep building on it. I got the beard oil. It's been phenomenal. It's been a great business venture. I've been growing the beard for about 5, 6, 7 years now, man. So this is like my trademark. You know, a lot of guys in the circle, we all got some man. And I want to keep, pushing it and building off of that.
I got you, man. Hey, unfortunately, man, I can't grow a beard, man. I'm damn near 40, man. I just can't get it. You know what I mean? I just can't get it, man. You know what I mean? But it's all good though, man. So let everybody know, man, where they can purchase the beard oil, man, where they can get the book, any kind of motivational speaking that you open to do. Everything, man. Let us know what's going on, where you can be reached at.
Okay. First of all, the beard oil, man, it has my cosmetology knowledge into it, man. It has the oils that I know doing my cosmetology knowledge in classes and what I do in the shop. It has the oils necessary to not only take care of your beard, but your skin, and it smells awesome. So go on edhennings.com and you'll see my beard oil in the store, and you'll also see the speaking and the coaching engagements that I've been involved in and that I also offer as well. So edhennings.com is where you can find me at. On Instagram, it's edhennings1, and Facebook is Ed Hennings. So, that edhennings.com is where the beard oil, the book, and my speaking endeavors will be found.
Okay, perfect, man. All right. Escaping the Odds podcast can be found on Stitcher, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor.fm. I got the YouTube channel. Just dropped that maybe 3 weeks ago. So that's Escaping the Odds on YouTube. Check that out. You'll be able to see this video and 26 other more episodes that I recorded and produced. Also, I got escapingtheodds.com. Just dropped that probably a week ago. And again, you can view all the videos, man, and just get up-to-date news on Escaping the Odds, what we're doing as a media company. And yeah, man, so we definitely leveling up. Just continue to bring stories out here, man, just to just let the world know, that just change the narrative what people think someone who's formerly incarcerated looks like and the things they can achieve. And so definitely thank everybody for tuning in. continue to support Ed and I on our endeavors, and as we switch hustles, man, and unlock freedom. So thank y'all for tuning in, and y'all take care.
Salute.
Okay, peace, bro. Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
All right.
All right.